getting it, fella. Look here.
Stand by.
One for C-Lab, two for Troy Ego, three for Wolverine to round out the trio in this episode. Everybody dies.
Broadcasting live from inside the power band. This is The Blah. In this episode, everybody dies. I'm your host, Kevin, also known as Moby, along with my intrepid companions, Ben.
What's up?
And Chad.
What's up?
Also known as Zarhigo and Orange Sassy Squirrel. Folks, welcome to the podcast. This week we're talking about the mid-'80s classic, dare I even say cult classic, Star Trek film, Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home, also known as the Whale movie. We touched on this movie when we did Star Trek Phoenix Insurrection. I think that's what spurred us to do this. So much high level here. Where do we start? Chad.
I enjoyed this one back when it came out. It hit me at the right age. I wasn't a huge Star Trek nerd back in the day. I was more pew pew lightsabers. That's a death. But I really like this one. I haven't seen it easily in 20 years, probably. And it's remarkable how similar in tone it was to Phoenix Insurrection. Like a lot of fun and didn't take itself too seriously and was kind of a fun romp. So I enjoyed it this time around for sure. And in a personal piece of high level, it's the first time I've seen this since I lived in San Francisco. So there was a little bit of nostalgia there, which was kind of cool. But I enjoyed it.
Nice. Yeah, this is a comedy, man. That's what this movie is. And the cast of the original Star Trek series is surprisingly really, really good at delivering it, man. Their timing is great. It's a fun movie. It's not anything too crazy. It is, unlike Phoenix Insurrection, a sort of apocalyptic event. But yeah, I don't know. It's just fun and funny.
It is fun.
I liked it when I was a kid, and I liked it this time for sure.
Right on.
It was nice to see the original cast. It had been a while since I'd seen any of those movies.
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you, Chad. I echo that sentiment. It was good to see the original cast.
Well, I'll tell you.
It was good to see the original cast, of course. I think that this movie is peak this cast.
Yeah.
These guys are at peak. Shatner is at peak. I actually watched Star Trek III: The Search for Spock as well in prep for this.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to this is the final film in the 3-story arc that is Star Trek 2, 3, and 4. So I wanted to just kind of remember that a little bit more. I know Wrath of Khan pretty well. Wrath of Khan pretty well.
The Wrath of Tron.
There you go. So
this is the grid.
Search for Spock is good, and we'll have to cover that in another episode, but it was good to get that sort of little extra backstory. But this is definitely peak. They were peak during Star Trek 2, 3, and 4, but really 3 and 4. I think that they were at their peak game, peak age, peak acting ability, And I think that's part of what makes this one so great. I read in my travels for this movie, I read that Nimoy, the first 3 were so heavy duty and science fiction-y that he really wanted it to have a lighter tone. And they nailed it, man. It's really funny. I remember when I saw this movie as a lad, I didn't care for it. And I was, as we all are when we're young, I was just sucks, no, stupid 1980s. I didn't want to see that, I didn't want to see the Star Trek people, the space friends in my backyard. You know what I mean? I wanted to see them blowing shit up and on adventures and all of that sort of thing. And so when I was younger, I was really salty on this movie, and I thought it was lame. I considered it the lamest of the Star Trek movies for years and years and years. Then I grew up. And now this is easily my favorite Star Trek film in the franchise. I really think the best ones of the original cast are 2, 4, and 6. Khan, this, and Undiscovered Country. But this one stands above all of the others. It's funny, it's fun, it's light. It's a delightful romp. It's got this a lot of the same feel as Phoenix Insurrection, as we talked about in that episode, probably more kind of feel-goodness in this movie. So I just think it's fantastic.
Yeah, I basically forgot everything other than it's got whales in it and it was time travel-y. But it was, yeah, like you said, it was a romp and whatnot. And I definitely hear what you're saying about Nimoy wanting a bit of a break from the serious stuff. And it definitely seems to echo Brent Spiner's feelings in terms of before Punic Insurrection. So I don't know. You just want to take a break every once in a while and have a bit of fun. So I haven't seen a lot of the other movies in a really long time. So unlike the Bill and Ted stuff, I didn't do a lot of backstory prep. And once I kind of saw how this was actually pretty connected to the search for Spock, I was kind of like, oh, maybe I should see that. But it's interesting that a movie like this would be the end of a trilogy and be fun and not like a big major kind of Bane in a football stadium style fucking close out a trilogy kind of thing, you know?
Yeah. 2 and 3 are so heavy.
Really heavy.
So I think it was a necessary breather.
I'm totally down. It's just interesting that they chose to.
Yeah. You mean that they chose to make it lighter?
I guess maybe watching it, I was kind of like, it's interesting that they chose to do this considering it's following on some serious stuff. But then reading a little bit about how the other movies didn't do well internationally, I could see how they would want to change things up a little bit. So maybe that was part of the incentive.
Yeah, no doubt. An interesting little proto-nugget is that this movie was titled The Voyage Home Star Trek in everywhere else in the world because of the poor performance of Search for Spock.
I mean, it's a pretty neat niche thing anyways. Like, sci-fi was certainly relatively niche then, and Trek even more so. So
yeah, no doubt.
I don't know why they thought it was going to be a fucking blockbuster, but this was a blockbuster. So I read that this netted 20% of total revenue in the box office for all movies this year. It was just like, yeah, right.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it was like fucking cool.
And was this 87? I can't remember the year.
86 or 87. I'm not sure which one.
86.
All right, so right smack in the middle of the 80s. Yeah, that's a really interesting fact. This one, of all of them, would have that kind of reception and make that kind of money.
Well, it makes sense. It's way more accessible. It's like fun as opposed to fucking hard sci-fi, you know?
Right. It's as opposed to like LeVar Burton and Brent Spiner talking about space anomalies.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't even understand what the hell they're talking about.
Exactly. I did. While we're on the topic of box office stuff, I just want to throw in because I am now a dual citizen, I need to, for the record, state that this movie knocked Crocodile Dundee off its 8-week reign at the head of the box office, and
are you serious?
It kind of, yeah. I think I'm supposed to be offended about that, so I'm offended right now.
The half of you that's an Australian
exactly
is offended, and then the half of you that an American is helping to deliver the blow.
Exactly. I feel very torn. I'm just surprised that this thing, well, I don't know. I want to say I'm surprised this thing did as well as it did, but it is kind of, pop culture-y. It is kind of accessible and fun and rompy. And so I get it. And that's probably part of the reason why I like it so much.
Yeah, the humor in this movie is just fantastic. I laughed numerous times as I was watching this last night, taking notes. It's just so funny, man. There's a lot of little great bits and some great and a lot of cool stuff that come to find out was improv. Like the yes and no. Do you guys like Italian?
That was great.
No, yes, no. Like that whole thing was improv. And just we've seen the fish out of water trope like a million zillion times, but Spock's lack of his sort of old mind and gives him that fish out of water quality, but somehow in this it works really well.
Totally does, yeah.
And it's hysterically funny, man.
I like how it fits so well, even with the San Francisco thing of like, he spent too much time in Berkeley. Like it's really super funny how it's
doing that LDS.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, doing the LDS, man. That'll get you every time.
Yeah, Nimoy is great in this. He's in all these fish out of water situations, but he's so fucking deadpan about it. And it's clear that like Spock, not only does Spock not give a shit, he doesn't like even have an inkling that he should or might give a shit, or that a shit might be given in the first place. You know what I mean?
No, I think that's a really great comment, man.
It's
It's
just
exactly
like
right on.
he's like sort of like oblivious to what's happening around him in a way that's like just delightful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not caring and not giving those shits in that same way, you know, like the way he continuously calls him Admiral until he's finally like, you got to stop calling me that.
I mean, this isn't news here, but like, I don't think that this series, in particular the original cast, would have done anywhere near as well without the Spock character. Like, I feel like the Spock character is such an important foil for, you know, a Kirk or just the crew in general, that this is a good example of that. Like, without Spock, if Spock never existed, I don't know if it would do as well.
I agree. Well, you know, it's interesting, too, that he directed this movie, and he also directed Search for Spock, and then he also directed either Wrath of Khan or Undiscovered Country. I can't remember which off the top of my head, but one of my notes, like as I got towards the end of the movie, it was that Spock is just, Nimoy is just playing the shit out of Spock. Like, and I mean that in the highest complimentary way. Like, the guy is, Shatner did that, like, SNL sketch, which has now become, like, legendary, where he's, like, telling all the Trek fans to go home and get a life. I don't really think that he never really seemed to kind of grab hold of it. I think in the beginning, at least, it was just another acting gig for him, you know? But, like, Nimoy really invested in the character, man. And it's so obvious. Like, he's so hyper committed to what he's doing. And that's what makes it so great.
Yeah, no doubt.
You know what I mean?
Unless, do you want to talk about any of that shit, Benny? Otherwise, I've got a question for you.
Go.
You mentioned in Peanic Insurrection the Space Friends thing. Do you feel similarly about the original cast in terms of Space Friends and that kind of thing? The warm hug?
Yeah, yes and no. Not to the same degree, because, you know, The Next Generation is kind of my start, you know. I feel like it's kind of...
Yeah, mine too.
My generation's Star Trek. But original Star Trek, you know, I watched it since I was really, really little. You know, my brothers used to watch the show, and, you know, so probably, you know, as young as I can remember, I remember Star Trek. And, you know, actually, now that I think about it, my dad and myself and my two brothers went to see The Wrath of Khan when it came out. So I was quite little then. And then, you know, I saw all those films leading up to this one. Mm-hmm. So even as a kid, I was like, yeah, good. Some levity here. I could use that. It's pretty heavy stuff for a little kid.
Yeah, totally.
So,
especially those earworms.
It's like, you know, I feel like The Next Generation are my friends. The original cast is like, you know, my dad's friends or something.
Right.
You know, but they're still family, and you still love them. They're aunts and uncles, you know.
Yeah, Unky Kirk and Unky Spock. Yeah, totally.
It's like Next Generation are like your cool older siblings, you know.
Yeah.
I like it. Dude, great answer, man.
Yeah.
I echo that sentiment. I think that for me, Next Generation, and I'll add DS9 because I'm a huge DS9 fan. I even watched an episode or two this week. They are my space friends, for sure. And the TOS cast is kind of, but not really. I mean, I think it's also a different generation of actors. And they're also, they didn't get what they were getting into when they started doing the show. I'm 1,000% certain that almost every single one of those actors was like, great, I got work. And then it turned into this psychotic cult thing. And so when, you know, John Luck Pickard and Captain Sisko and company came around, they knew what they were getting into. Like, they knew going into it, like, you know, you're gonna be homies for life, dude. Like, this is gonna be your life forever.
Or at least there's a really good shot of it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, this is gonna be a thing that's gonna grow, and it's gonna follow you around, and people are gonna be crazy about it.
Or at
and all
least
that
there was
kind
a
of
really
thing.
good
So
shot
they
at
at least had some kind of preconceived notion, whereas the TOS cast did not. So I think that's part of what makes the difference. But I feel similarly to Ben.
Yeah.
That it's there a little bit, but not quite. And I'll even add one more thing, that if there was a movie where it started feeling like they were space friends, I think it's this movie. Because I think by now they've done enough with the series and the 3 previous films that, you know, they all had kind of accepted it, I guess you could say, to a degree, or embraced it rather to a degree. You know, I feel like Shatner finally gave up on ragging on all the fans that he thought were just a bunch of dumb nerds and was just like, all right, you know. So
I mean, we are a bunch of dumb nerds, but fucking whatever.
we are. I don't know. We're kind of smart sometimes.
Sometimes. You mentioned the fact that the original series cast was kind of like another generation of actor. I had kind of forgotten just kind of how old these people were. I didn't realize, because I don't know, how old do you think they are in this? Like,
Well, I was thinking about that too. Go
pushing
ahead.
60 or something, I'd imagine.
No.
Maybe, I mean, they look pretty old, man.
Shatner's still alive, okay? And Shatner has been
That's
doing
true.
work up until very recently, and still may be doing work.
They just look old, I guess, is what I'm getting at, regardless of the actual age. And so I was kind of like, man, yeah, they actually look like they're at the end of the run and da-da-da-da-da, and they kind of are, and it's fine. It was just kind of interesting to kind of see them older. They're saltier.
Hang on one second. I'm ejecting. Sorry, I want to look this up because it's important.
Yeah. So I think Nimoy was in his 50s when they did this,
Okay.
if that's any kind of gauge.
I'm so lost on age now. It's funny. I can't tell how old anybody is anymore.
You know, I can tell who's what age in my band, but like when I look at these like young people, I'm like I can't tell how old you are. So, yeah, there's that.
So you whipping up a spreadsheet or something?
Yep, I am.
Eject.
Ejection. Okay, so 86, 31. Nimoy was born in 31, so that would put him at 55.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
55. So let's just assume everybody's around 55. I think maybe James Doohan was a little bit older.
Yeah, Scotty was definitely a little bit older.
But this is definitely their sort of, when you get into that like mid to late 40s into your early to mid 50s, like that's a good power band as an actor. You may not be at your physical peak, but you're still within it. But certainly as a performer, you've seasoned well.
Mm-hmm. I'd imagine the life experience would help for sure.
Yeah, exactly, man.
Yeah,
So
I
think, go ahead.
You've aged like a fine wine.
George Takei is still very much alive. He was born in 37, so he was a little bit younger, 49.
So like 48 to 50, 55, not including Scotty, ballpark.
That's Scotty. Oh, good God, Scotty. Scotty was like 100 when he did this one.
Scotty was 66.
Yeah, that's getting up there, man. And just, remember that then he did Final Frontier, then Undiscovered Country, then they did Generations.
Yeah. I mean, Scotty was in fucking D-Day, for Christ's sake, so he was definitely
Yeah, exactly.
an older dude.
I do remember in Generations, like, there's aside from Shatner, there's, I think 3 of the other cast, and it's like Chekhov, Uhura, and Scotty. And I remember seeing Scotty on the bridge of the Enterprise B just being like, man, I'm tired, Captain. Like that's what he looked like in that movie.
He like rolled onto the bridge in one of those like motorized carts that old people drive around on sidewalks. It's like, bro, it's cool. You can retire, man.
Exactly, dude. Exactly.
He was in an episode of.
He was a great one. Go ahead.
No, go ahead because I'm drawing a blank. Was it Next Generation or was it?
Yes, it was.
It was.
And it was a super cool premise, and it was a really great.
Please number it. Please be like it's episode 742, written by.
Oh God, I'm not that deep of a Star Trek nerd, but
I wanted that to happen, but that's okay.
I'm sorry, dude. I'm really, really sorry.
These are not the droids you're looking for.
Okay, so the episode, I cannot remember the name of it, but I did seek it out and watch it in the last, 7 or 10 years. And the story goes that Scotty is aboard this crappy little Federation ship, and it ends up getting damaged or malfunctions or whatever, and it crashes into a Dyson sphere, which is fully constructed around a star. And the TNG crew find the Dyson sphere. And then as they're, scanning the exterior of the Dyson sphere, they see that there's a crashed ship there. And Scotty to save his own life, put himself into the transporter matrix. This is so nerdy.
That's right. He was trapped in the.
And he set it. He trapped himself in there and set
He trapped
the thing
himself
to
in the pattern buffer. Yeah.
Exactly. I got out nerded by Jarhiga right there. Exactly. Trapped in the pattern buffer, and it was just kind of set on like, a loop. So like when LaForge found him with his hair clip, he was able to dematerialize him. And the story was great, and then it was kind of sad, like a couple parts, because Scotty was like being Scotty, and then like, the next generation cast is so slick and professional and polished, Scotty's like, oh, you've got to be drinking down in the engine room, and they're like, yeah, we don't do that.
Synthahol.
And then there was a little bit of like, you're old, get out of the way. And he was like, through some of the episode. But then, he ends up saving the day, and it's great. Probably my best synopsis ever.
Thank you for that. Story time with Kev.
Didn't skip any details there.
No.
Just to jump backwards for a second, just to contrast and compare, because I thought it was interesting, is that Patrick Stewart was born in 1940. So he started on The Next Generation in 89 as the new group. And he was not that much older than the original cast, which I find kind of interesting.
Yeah, I remember encountering Next Generation as a Ute and being like, wow, the captain's definitely aged like, a piece of leather. And I kind of liked it. I kind of liked that he had that kind of older dude thing with the younger crew. So, yeah, it's an interesting point.
The original uniforms on TNG were so weird. Just sort of skin tight, and then they had like normal pant legs. Like, I don't know, really.
Grapes and Kev here?
Served up in a pan.
Yeah, an all grapes pan.
That's it. But I remember seeing him and being like, who's this like older bald guy? I've never seen him. Where's like the young hunky dude? But nope.
That's funny because I was like, oh, it's Gurney Halleck.
Yeah, exactly. Old Gurns.
He's going to pull out his 9-string Baliset.
Thank you, Ben.
Counselor Troy, to my ready room.
Captain, I'm sensing something.
You're going to beat that joke to fucking death.
I know. It's not even that funny anymore, and we're still beating it.
It's not like us.
No, God, no. Anyway, it was quite a little digression there, but I think the start of that was the Space Friends comment, and then, just kind of talking about how they were at peak and so forth. Where would you guys like to go next in this movie? You want to talk about the story?
Where would we like to go next? I'd like to talk about the movie.
Let's talk about the story for a second, because
yeah, it's something, man. It's quite a thing.
It's a good story. I mean, it's definitely got the thing that you currently hate, and I'm growing to hate, and probably Jarhigo as well. The ultimate save the world kind of situation, and
yeah,
we may not make it back and all that kind of thing. But this happened before. I mean, this happened many, many years ago, before all of those movies started doing that. So it's much different, and the way that it's laid out, I think, is really good too. I thought about this a lot last night as I was watching it. It's like they're kind of got Spock sorted out, his Katra's back in his own body, and they're like, okay, we need to go home and be accountable for what we've done. And then on the way home, it's like, holy shit, there's some major shit going down. And then, to just decide at the drop of a hat, which I think was kind of funny how they did it. I even made a note of that, how like McCoy and Kirk are walking around going, oh, a time warp. Yeah, oh, yeah, right, of course. Do we have all the calculations for that? And did you pack your lunch? Like all that kind of thing,
Working on it.
Yeah, working on it. It was very matter of fact.
Carry the 1 and 6.
But I like that. I like that they just thought it up and did it, And then we go obviously back to the 80s, and it's just good fish out of water fun.
Oh, was that a dad joke or pun?
Oh, damn it, dude! Did I just do that?
Yep, you did.
Well, I'm dead because I didn't mean to do it.
An unintentional dad death.
Jesus, that was shitty, man.
I had kind of, in the same vein, not realized just...
It's okay, man. It's biological, apparently.
Yeah. I hadn't realized how like activistic the story was.
Totally.
Like it so reminds me of that period in my life where it was like all about like dolphin-free fucking tuna fish and like free fucking Willy was later, but you know, like it was just all about that kind of stuff at that time, save the whales and stuff. And like I'm cool with it, but I just love that they were like, you know, Leonard Nimoy was like taking a shit one day reading a National Geographic on the can and being like, let's fucking bring some whales into this thing, you know? And they like fleshed it out into a script.
Right, or just sitting there going,
Right, like it's just so tied up in the save the whales thing, which like again, I'm cool with it. It's just interesting how much of a like a encapsulation of the mid to late 80s that kind of feeling is, you know?
I couldn't agree more. Like that's a great comment. I feel like the end of the 80s and certainly through the 90s, like that was like the environmental issue, or it was certainly one of them, or the biggest, or the one that kind of kicked off a lot, or brought into the sort of public consciousness, like environmentalism on a even larger scale, maybe.
Totally.
So I also remember, Chad, like being younger and watching this and being like, ugh, really, man, whales sucks. Like, because it was so already in everybody's face. You know? I think that's what made me dislike it more. You know, I was like, I want to see Klingons like ripping people's skin off. You know, this is what happens when you grow up in a violent culture, man.
I guess.
I hear you 100%. I love that it's in there now. Obviously, you know, it's great. But and just to kind of flip your comment on its head and that part of the movie on its head, like I really dig the premise of, I mean, I think like as I was saying before, like the time warp idea is cool in the story, but I really dig the premise of like this alien race that is whales essentially, or whale-esque, or a variant of whales, you know what I mean, coming to the planet to check and see how everything is essentially. I mean, that's essentially what they're doing, you know what I mean? And finding no whales there. Like, it is a really cool concept. I mean, it's very simple, but it's very cool, you know? And there's a lot of cool themes going on there that I think are important, you know? It's that we're such a bunch of ants on this planet, you know? Like, we've talked about this before, and Spock says it in the movie. Only human arrogance would assume that the message is for us. It's exactly right, you know? And it's like this probe comes in, this alien probe from the whale people, or whatever you want to call them, I guess in Star Trek parlance, it would be the Waylians, Cardassians, Klingons, Waylions. I have no idea what it was. A death.
Yep.
I love that you just kept going with it.
Yeah, but I'm totally picturing like a perfectly formed human body with like a whale head sticking out of the neck hole on the fucking uniform, though, because you know that would be very Star Trek.
Die. Keep going, man. You might get more deaths. Anyway, the Waylions, the Waylions come, and they're so much more powerful, and the technology is so much more powerful. You know that it just absolutely.
Well, I'm totally derailing you here. So, were you saying Waylions or like aliens, like Waylians? Because I'm kind of down with aliens, Waylians.
Were you hinting something about Waylon Jennings?
No, but it definitely sounds a little bit Waylon Jennings-esque. I know, Chad, I wasn't thinking that, but that's actually really great. Waylians?
I like Waylians.
Instead of aliens?
Yeah.
I was thinking like Waylions, like, you know, Romulans, Cardassians, like that kind of thing. I was adding like a suffix onto the end of it to give it like a Trek kind of race name, I guess, because that's, you know, Ephrodsians, you know, Vulcans, like everything is like that. So that being said,
anyway,
the aliens. Can we land on the Waylon Jennings Waylians? How about Waylon Jennings?
That's his back. Waylon Jennings' backup singers are called the Waylians.
Oh, I was gonna go with his band name is Waylon Jennings and the Waylians.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god! Is anybody still listening?
I'm not.
Is anybody still listening?
Computer. Hello, computer.
So at any rate, I liked the Waylians. I thought it was a really great story hook. And again, like I loved how they came in with just a simple probe looking for other members of their species and completely decimated every single piece of technology in the entire system, like showing human beings how small they are. And, it being so relevant to the activism that was going on, I thought that was, it made it kind of extra cool, like, well, what if whales were aliens and they came to this planet and stepped all over you, like that kind of thing.
Yeah. I like how you were watching this and being like, man, that's really interesting. And I was like, so long and thanks for all the fish. That's like all I was thinking the whole time. I love how differently we can come at these things based on moods.
Absolutely.
I find the concept of the Waylians very interesting, as well as the time warping.
Well, let's do the time warp again.
Let's do the time warp again. That was terrible. Double death.
I set you up for that one.
Wow.
I know. That was double death, dude. Kev plus Chad equals double death.
I don't know, man. I kind of like, I'm not going to call it a gripe, but like...
You can.
You touched on this a minute ago, but the like, whoa, no, we're in trouble. Let's go back and be honorable. And then it was like, oh, wait, there's this huge MacGuffin. And then they're like sitting around. That sound is very interesting. It sounds exactly like yep, that was what I thought. It's a whale, and they like figure the whole thing out, do the time warp calculations, actually do the time warp, and now they're in 86. Like, it was all very ham-fisted, but I was totally okay with it.
I was too.
Yeah.
Hence the fucking so long and thanks for all the fish. Like, I was just like along for this, like, I don't give a shit about the plausibility kind of thing,
They totally unpacked that in about 3 minutes.
Yeah.
It was so great. It was just one thing to the next, like a classic, like everybody's brain is a supercomputer kind of situation.
Yeah.
Like, Kirk comes running over and he's like, Uhura, do you think you could compensate for salinity and water? And
Like, exactly.
And she's already doing it. Like, she's already on top of that, dude.
But if you're
Yeah, it's like 10 seconds. She's like, I think I got it.
Yeah, exactly. And she like fiddles with the pitch bender on the console.
Sounds like that free whale sound recording that I got on my sound effects CD.
Yeah. Scratch, scratch, scratch. Wiki, wiki, wiki.
But if you were like, C-Lab, can you please run this through your salinitizer? I'd be like, fucking, what does salt have to do with anything here, bro? Like, what are you fucking talking about?
It's so great, man. They throw that into a freaking NutriBullet, dude, and they blend that shit up in about 2 seconds.
They slap chop the fuck out of that problem.
They do, man. They really do. And then, Kirk's like, yeah, let's go down and just check with Scotty, make sure that's cool.
Yeah, like, hey, Scotty, I remember that time travel thing? You reckon we could do that again? Sure, no worries.
McCoy's like, what are we doing? Well, I'm thinking time warp. Oh, yeah, time warp, of course.
But we could get sucked into a sun. Yeah, we'll be fine. But I had a good time. Like, it is a gripe, but it's not a gripe I give a shit about, I guess.
No, I think you're right. I think it's totally legit in its total, like, ludicrous nature, but I don't know. It's some combination of, like, this cast plus this franchise plus I don't know what, and you're just like, who gives a shit? I love you. You're just like, I love you guys. You guys are great. But they just came up with that in 5 minutes. I don't care. They're just great.
The invisible ship in the middle of a park thing, all that stuff. Your fish out of water comment earlier, while we've seen it a million times before, it was kind of enjoyable to see the crew of the Starship Enterprise, like, trying to navigate the fucking downtown San Francisco urban area and, like, get money and stuff. So it was definitely part of that delight for me, was just the fish out of water stuff.
I agree. And I also think that, like, after not a very long period of time in the film, like, they all very much embrace it, and then they start kind of, taking advantage of the fact that they know certain things from the future that have happened, and they really kind of like inhabit the role, so to speak, like when they go into the Plexicorp and Lin Sulu's getting the shot. Like, there's just funny things like that where they're really owning it,
We're looking for a nuclear vessel.
That was so good.
Dude, the whole...
the fact that Cop doesn't fucking move at all is just so good.
That is my favorite. I don't know. There's so many great parts of that teeny little scene, but the first and best is that Cop. He just stares at them, and he doesn't stop, and they keep panning back to his face, and his expression does not change.
Right?
I don't know where they came up with that whole Wessels thing, man. Nobody in Russia has trouble saying W's. Like, that's not like a thing. Like, I don't know. I don't know where that came from originally, but
It's not accurate, but it is funny.
It's great.
very funny.
That and his like head to toe, like buttery brown leather outfit or whatever the fuck he was wearing.
Costumes.
You got a whole thing on costumes? I got nothing on costumes.
I don't have a whole thing on costumes. There's one costume that I really like, and it was the same in Star Trek 3 because I watched it, and it's Sulu's jacket, shawl, cape, cloak thing that he's wearing. I love it. It's so Sulu. It's so George Takei, and it's so Sulu, and it's totally weird and outlandish, and yet at the same time very cool. And I don't know. That's it. That one costume like is the costume for the movie.
You sure it's not Kirk's red pantsuit and pink blouse?
The blouse is like, yeah, it's like a summer dressy blouse thing. Oh, it's good stuff.
It's like he raided Hillary Clinton's closet before he went onto the set.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep, totally.
Like the way it's like kind of like pleated and folded again and then repleated and then stretched. It looks like it's very stretched across the chest to that one button, you know, like
yeah.
It's humorous. I mean, the only thing that makes it masculine is the sort of the pants with the tucked into the boots like that era of Star Trek had. But that's not saying a lot because it's mostly him from the waist up in most of the scenes. Yeah, it was very blousy, dude. It was very blousy. You're right, Ben.
That's a nice suit, Kirk. Do they make them for men?
I would say the only thing that made that one masculine was the when he goes to Titanic save the day, fucking whips his jacket off and swims underwater to open the hatch. Like I was chuckling at the captain fucking saving everyone thing.
I love that he knows right where to go in the Klingon ship to find the emergency hatch opener thing, you know?
I honestly can't remember Sulu's costume, so I got nothing there, bro. Sorry.
Oh man, it was the jacket. Just like it was so great. It was kind of like I said, it was like all those things I said plus part poncho as well. Like it just, I don't know. It was cool. I like Sulu, man, and I like his voice. I'm just trying to think of like. Chekhov's costume was, again, all leather, similar to Sulu, but just, it was like, Chekhov's was like leather overload, or rather pleather overload. And the jacket sleeves, like the cuffs, were gigantic, almost like Spock's robe, huge. I don't know if that's like a 23rd century thing or what, but it was definitely weird.
Spock's bathrobe?
Well, yeah, I mean, the bathrobe was like whatever. It was very bathrobe-esque. But no, I'm saying Chekhov's jacket had sleeves. Like the cuffs at the end of those sleeves were like very wide aperture. It was very strange.
It was like wizard sleeve.
Chekhov kind of had the like Jersey Shore mobster kind of thing going on there.
What? You think?
He just kind of looked like Johnny Depp would have played a balding mobster in that outfit.
Okay, I could see that, man. I definitely could see that. In kind of like a like in Blow.
Oh, thank you.
Sort of. Ooh, yes. Exactly. That's a perfect picture.
I always think McCoy is quite stylish.
Dude, his jumpsuit was off the frame in this one, man. Right, Ben?
Oh my God, this Avenue is just something else.
McCoy's jumpsuit was just, it had pockets within pockets. It had layers of fabric on top of layers of fabric. Like it was super weird. And I think if he didn't have that leather jacket, he would have just looked absolutely ridiculous.
I look like a costume corner with Kev.
I was waiting for you to say something like that.
Like the pleating. Oh my God, that pleat was to die for. So anyways, whales.
Okay, great. Yeah, whales. You know what I thought was pretty cool was the
whales
in like that. No, I'll tell you what I liked was the
belts
in the. I'm gonna say something next, and you're gonna do it again.
I'll try not to. Okay.
It was the undergarments. I'm kidding. What I liked was I can't. I'm trying to be serious, and you're not allowing it. In the time warp sort of post-coital milk dream, milk mannequin dream.
The what?
Dude, that is the weirdest thing.
Oh yeah,
weirdest. It's super weird, man. I mean, I'd love to see maybe an updated version of what that might look like, in terms of time travel. But there's a couple of things I wanted to say was that when they go back in time, the time warp mannequin milk dream it's definitely weird, but it's cool and interesting too. And I like that they put some energy into making some sort of, I don't know, time warp effect or like what the effect of time warp would be on people, and then like they kind of, the ship stops and they're all kind of sitting there kind of sort of sleeping or whatever with their eyes closed, but then when they go back forward in time, like they just completely skip over that, which I thought was kind of weak. Like they made it very throwaway, and I didn't like that. They should have put something in there as well. And then the other thing I wanted to say was that there's a glimpse in the first time warp mannequin milk dream of a whale, of a Waylon, and it looks different than like a regular Earth whale. So I was pondering.
This is like Pinky in the Brain. He's like, "Are you pondering what I'm pondering, Pinky?" I think so, Brain. But the whales didn't look like the whales on Earth.
Oh my God! I'm trying to be serious here. I can hear you guys snickering, and it's very funny. Okay, so to finish my thought, we get a glimpse of a Whalian.
That's on you this time, bro.
All right, fair enough. That was residue from the previous one. There you go. So my thought was, as I was watching it, is when we get that glimpse of that Whalian, is that what those alien whale creatures look like?
That's it?
Now you're disappointed. He's gonna yell at me. All that?
Oh, yeah,
That's it?
That whole thing to be like, you reckon that was what the aliens looked like? Yeah, maybe, bro.
I was pondering if that was a glimpse of what the Whalians looked like, and I thought that was pretty cool. No?
Presumably.
This has devolved into a total shit show. I love it.
Oh, man. Yeah, why when you time travel, you go into a milk pool with all your space friends and turn into milk mannequins? I don't know.
I don't know either. But the inclusion, that one frame of that Whalian, a couple frames of that Whalian, I thought was pretty.
Totally.
It totally puts the 2001 Space Odyssey kind of
LDS dream to shame.
You thought that was weird. Check this shit out.
Yeah, totally. Maybe the time warp mannequin milk dream is what happens when you take LDS as opposed to LSD.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. So the love interest thing?
Yes.
I think the love interest thing is interesting. Just in the sense that, like, Kirk's kind of known as a bit of a hunky dude that always has a girl on one arm, or there's always kind of that trope in the episodes, and they play off that with the new series and stuff, and I guess he insisted on a love interest in this movie, so that might be an interesting thread.
Are you suggesting, or are you telling that he wanted there to be a love interest for his character in the movie?
Yeah, I read, I don't know how accurate it is, but I read that I suppose this is actually like a bigger thing, which is potentially a snipe here, but Jillian, the scientist, was a character that was created after Eddie Murphy was not part of the movie. Did you see that?
I did.
Yeah.
I was going to talk about that whole thing. It's like a whole nother alternate timeline, yeah.
It's so, crazy. But, like, evidently Eddie Murphy was supposed to be a scientist that, he was a fan of Star Trek and he wanted to be in the movie, and they created a character for him that was a scientist that was obsessed with aliens, and in an early version of the script sees the Klingon ship over the Super Bowl, and it's not really worth getting into. Long story short, he wasn't interested after seeing the script and went on to do Golden Child, which you guys have talked about quite a few times, actually, in the history of the show. But what came out of it, I think, was Shatner wanted a love interest because that was missing from earlier movies, and it was a trope from the series. And he thought it was like an important part of his character or whatever. So that was a big reason why she was written in this way. And it was like the pieces of the Eddie Murphy character and pieces of some reporter or something. So it was just kind of a weird thing and interesting in the creation of the script thing. And I don't know, like it was somewhat charming and also somewhat weird, their relationship throughout. And I just thought it was worth touching on.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to the Eddie Murphy thing. I think you kind of summed it up enough that people get the idea of what the other original script, the direction it took. Only that Paramount did not want to put him in both of their most profitable franchises, which at the time were Star Trek and Beverly Hills Cop.
Right.
Also, that he had already signed to do The Golden Child. So he was sort of locked up with that already.
Right.
It's minor, but whatever. So I think that Catherine Hicks is she's really great and she's perfect for this part. And I like the way that she plays the scientist. Like her focus, well, she's she's obviously charmed by Kirk, and more so when she realizes that he's not completely full of shit. Kind of like she's like that dorky scientist and like super cute at the same time, and it's like a cool combination. And her primary focus is always like the work and the whales first. Whereas a lot of love interests, are just like these lame throwaway female characters that are just like, just sort of fawning all over these guys. And I like that they didn't make her that way, and I think as far as like a love interest goes, this was well done, to not make it so ridiculously cliche and tropey. I think it was really great. And the best part about it, and this is one of my notes, was that she completely out Kirk's Kirk at the end of the movie.
Right.
So you mentioned before, like, Kirk is always like the suave ladies man, blah, blah, blah. And you're right. And he is. And then at the end of the movie, when they get acquitted in the trial and he comes up and he's like, I don't even have your telephone number. And she's like, yeah, I gotta go. I got a ship and I gotta go. And he's like, and she's like, I'll be in touch.
Don't call us, we'll call you.
Exactly. And I love that, man. That was one of my favorite things. And it just jumped out at me last night as I was watching it. I had never really kind of paid enough attention to it before. So I think it's pretty significant that she out Kirk's Kirk. And it makes her even cooler female character, and it makes her an even cooler character in general. So that's what I got. What about you guys?
I said my bit. You got anything on that, Benny?
Nope.
What did you think about her as a character? Did you give a shit, or was it just kind of like drove the story forward?
She was fine. I just didn't really resonate at all with the romance between her and Kirk.
Yeah.
It just seemed sort of extraneous. I mean, it was fine. It wasn't overdone. It just didn't really matter to me as part of the overall experience.
It was great because it wasn't overdone. They didn't make it some annoying central theme in the whole thing, Like it wasn't distracting you away from the story, The story was like the activism and saving the world, And I'm glad that they kept the focus on that. So
it's interesting that she decides to go with them back into 23rd century or whatever.
I love that, man. I love that. She's so committed to the whales, and she's just like, I don't have anything else here. Like,
I mean, I would do the same thing. I'd be like, fuck it, let's do it. I'm totally down to go to 2300 or whatever, but...
Opportunity of a lifetime. It's like, all I got here are like the whales that are leaving in this crappy old truck. It's like, fuck this. I'm out of here. It's freaking garbage everywhere. It's the 80s.
Yeah.
Nobody in the future what?
The point about how nobody in the future would know anything about fucking whales is...
stupid.
It's such a good point that it's kind of silly that they didn't think they would need to ask somebody in the first place to come with them to like, make sure things are kosher, like make sure they're putting them in the right spot, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, not stupid.
Yeah. So much of it is assumed.
Yeah, I kind of I kind of wrestled with that, Ben. Like I was like, well, is that just dumb? Or like, of course they would have people that were knowledgeable, but nobody with direct knowledge. So I kind of went back and forth about whether that would be dumb or not. But listening to you say it like that, I agree. Like they could have like expanded the story slightly and made that like a sort of a tension point of like having to convince her to come back.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Could have been actually pretty cool.
Would have been interesting. Yeah, if they were smart enough to realize they needed somebody that knew what was up.
Yeah, I mean, clearly they would have knowledgeable people in the future, but they wouldn't have anybody that had direct experience, obviously, because they're not there anymore. But yeah, anyways.
But then, ironically enough, she's like, "Oh yeah, I've been assigned to a science ship," and she's like, "I'm out of here." Like,
yeah, later, whales.
I mean, the whales don't even come up, but she would have been like, "Yeah, they're good."
Yes, this is the future. Fucking whales are so last year.
They're so 1986.
Well, once the giant maglite flashlight leaves orbit and fucking stops shutting down everyone's computer, it was like, yeah, we're all good. See ya.
My laptop's not working. I can't go on the internet.
Shut her down. I just found Kirk kind of creepy. I kind of like I can't really separate the piss take that everyone has of the Kirk character and Shatner from the actual Kirk character now, I think. So I don't know. The caricature of him is kind of how I perceive his, I don't know, acting, I guess. Does that make sense?
No. Sorry. Can you expound and or rephrase?
Yeah. I found it a little bit more challenging to kind of take Kirk seriously and Shatner seriously because of just how thoroughly he's had the piss taken out of him in terms of how he's acted this character. And he's even kind of taken the piss out of himself more recently. And, all the Robot Chickens of the world and Saturday Night Lives of the world and all that kind of stuff. It means that it's kind of added another layer to the character and the acting. And so, I just find it more humorous than I probably should. And I just had a hard time separating that.
While you were watching this, you mean?
Yeah, I was just like,
I
don't know.
I got you.
He was just such a weirdo, I didn't find him charming at all. I just found him to be like a real fucking weird dude.
I don't find him to be charming. I understand what you mean. I don't find him to be charming. I don't really have a problem separating all of that weirdness and nonsense from him playing Kirk, I'm certainly in some of these movies, but I get what you mean, I definitely don't find him charming. He's just kind of... I mean, there's a very, I think the one thing that comes through with the character that seems to be very much Shatner, or the old Shatner anyway, I think he's definitely kind of mellowed out, as he got older and, just by virtue of what you said, taking the piss out of himself. It's just a ton of ego coming through with him in this character. And it lessens as we go through the course of the films, the various different films, which I think is a good thing, man,
I can't start the day without a juicy sausage in my mouth.
Exactly.
That's where Keanu comes in.
Yes.
Exactly.
Classic.
I feel like this is one of the better Shatner Kirk performances out there. It's not. It's a little more subdued. He's a little more. It's not such an. There's no God moment in this. It's a little more reeled in, a little more subdued, a little more subtle.
Yeah,
I guess. But in general, I know exactly what you're saying about it's hard to untangle Shatner and Kirk, really.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
From all of the comedic stuff that's out there. And just the fact that in general, Shatner and Kirk is kind of funny.
And maybe the fact that this is a comedy kind of helps it fit better, too.
That's true. That's absolutely true.
Yeah, agreed. And I do agree that he's... Yeah, I'm feeling what you're saying, for sure.
His Rocket Man is just one of my favorite things ever.
Yeah, the music of William Shatner is something special.
The music?
Yeah, the music.
Oh, wait, did he do some kind of album or something that I didn't know about or forgot about?
Many?
Really?
Yeah. So did Nimoy.
Did he?
Yeah, I remember that. He also
Yep.
wrote a book called I Am Spock, I Am Not Spock.
Did you read it?
Yes.
Was it good?
Yeah, you know what I figured out?
He's not Spock.
I am Spock.
Ooh.
Wow. Is that how he ends the book?
Yeah.
you are Spock.
You, dear reader, are Spock.
And so I posit, you, dear reader, are Spock. Live long and prosper.
All right, you guys want to move on to Bits and Bobs?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Bits and Bobs with Michael Caine. All right, what do you got?
You got it. What do you got, Benny? You got anything?
Benny, what do you got?
Let's see. I thought it was cool that they dedicated the movie to the crew of the Challenger.
Yeah.
Yes.
Totally forgot about that.
I forget where I was when that happened, though.
Oh, same. Yeah. We were watching it live and I was in like third grade or something. It was fucking crazy.
That was heavy, man.
No doubt. Yeah, that totally was interesting seeing that at the opener. I was like, oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I dug that. That was a good, that was a nice inclusion for sure. What else you got, Ben?
There are some impressive she-mullets in this film.
Ooh, yes.
In other news.
She-mullets.
They're kind of all over, and it's great.
Maybe they'll come back.
They will come back. I guarantee it.
Are mullets coming back over there? Because mullets are definitely coming back in Australia, and it's really
Are
upsetting.
you serious?
Oh my god, dude!
Wow.
All the Aussie Rules football guys have these like stupid fucking mullets now, and so all the young men have raging mullets, and they like preen around in peacock. So it's not like the dirty redneck mullet. It's the like coiffed hipster mullet. It's really, I don't know. It's very upsetting.
Kind of lame. Yeah. It really should. You mean it should be more like kind of Kurt Russell, Mel Gibson, but it's.
Yeah, it should be a dirty mullet. It shouldn't be this like pretty boy mullet.
Well, mullets are dirty. Like, why would you try to pretty them
That's
up?
what I'm
man?
saying.
I mean, from a Kurt Russell to a MacGyver to a Swayze to like the dude that lives in the woods in New Hampshire. Like,
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
In terms of the dude thing, I'm curious about the she-mullet thing. Like, I feel like, I don't know, if any of the sexes can pull off a mullet, it's the women, I think.
I agree. Like in a respectable way, yeah.
If anyone could make it look badass, it would be the ladies. So I'm down. I'm down with that bit and Bob, Benny. So were you respectful of the she-mullets, or were you just like commenting on their existence? And you're like, oh yeah, look at that. Or were you like down with the she-mullets?
Oh, totally. I mean, I'm tossing around the idea of cutting a mullet myself.
Do it, bro.
I've got a bit of a Star Trek, not a Star Trek, excuse me, Jesus Christ, a Star Wars mullet going on right now.
Oh yeah,
you know,
yep.
Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford kind of mullet going on.
Yep.
I'm intrigued.
So yeah, I think
as long as you don't go pretty boy, man, I'm on board.
Oh no.
He would never do that.
I know. I just want to make it clear.
I think I'm going full on like rooster, like long in the back, like really, really shaved short on the sides.
Oh, whoa. Yeah, that's serious.
Kind of spiky, yeah.
Balls to the wall.
Wow. That's like what I had when I was 10.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, I don't have a mullet per se. I did grow my hair out due to COVID. And then I grew some chops. It was kind of kicking like a 70s kind of feel. But then after the inaugural Steak and Mustaches episode, I started increasing the acreage on my stash, as we discussed last week. And now that that's starting to fan out, it's really kind of more of a gunfighter look, to be honest.
Okay.
You know what you should do, Kev?
What?
You should do the rat tail.
Oh.
What? You think?
Yeah.
But like, you mean like
just grow that little patch, just the
like
the,
in the middle.
Yeah, like they used to in the 80s. They're like shave, you grow your hair out and then you shave the whole thing except for this one weird little ponytail thing that sticks off the back.
Yeah. I know what you mean. I don't know if I can be that bold right now. I have no problem being bold, but that's pretty damn bold.
That's some serious balls right there.
I'm digging the gunfighter look. I'm feeling it for the moment. I'm gonna kind of see where that goes. I don't know. Maybe I get inspired to do a rat tail or a mullet. I mean, shit. I might see your hair at some point and be like, shit, I gotta rock that.
You know what? Maybe I'll do the mullet first, and then when I get sick of it, I'll do the rat tail.
There you go.
Boom.
There you go. Well, in the 80s fashion space, one of my bits and or bobs is the Leonard Nimoy headband scene because it just cracked me up. And there were so many layers of funny to that where it was like, oh, well, we can't walk around looking like aliens. And him just fucking, John McEnroe headbanding himself was just fucking hilarious. And
he doesn't say
he doesn't say a word, but also it totally takes the piss out of the fact that Star Trek aliens always just had like one stupid little difference, but other than that, they're perfectly human. And it's just I cracked up.
Yes. I love that too, and I loved how he didn't say a single word. There was no emoting whatsoever, and then he just tied it around his head and he looked up, and it was like, what?
Fucking priceless.
What, motherfucker, what?
It was priceless. And then he wore it for the next,
times.
Fucking act of the movie.
He even keeps it on when he jumps into the whale tank.
Yeah.
Love it.
With his weird sumo wrestler underwear that he stole from the opera singer from Running Man.
Yes. Dynamo's underwear drawer. .com.
And then the weirdest nugget ever, they auctioned the outfit off that he swam with the whales in some weird auction, and someone fucking bought him. That's funny to me.
Of course, and they probably went home and immediately tried to distill Nimoy's sweat out of the freaking costume so that they could drink it and gain his power or something weird.
No, so they could clone him and have a pet Nimoy.
Right, exactly. A mini Moy. What else you got, Chadwick?
Oh, that's all I got, bro. You got to drop some bobs and bits on us.
Oh, I got some bits and bobs. My bits and bobs are, I have a lot of nuggets, but like my bits and bobs are really just like favorite lines and like just comedy moments. Like, it really showcases how sick Nimoy's timing is as an actor, and
all the swearing stuff.
Yeah, double dumbass on you. Obviously, that was Kirk. That was very funny. I love how he just kind of improv that. And, it seemed very like came up with it on the spot. It was good.
And a double dumbass on you, sir.
It was perfect.
Yeah.
The metaphors thing. I mean, it really it centers around the metaphors for the most part. But when she says like, "What the hell were you doing with my whales?" and he goes, "Attempting the hell to communicate." And then, once he tells him to like, he's like, dude, you got to tone down the metaphors. You're not really getting the knack of it. And then he has a perfect joke like a few minutes later where something is said and he goes, are you sure it isn't time for another colorful metaphor? It's just pretty brilliant the way he lays it out. 1 second here. I'm just looking at my notes.
I love when they drop him off in the park before Aoleon, and she's like, we're just going to leave him in the park. And he's like, he'll be fine. It's his way.
Totally. All right, my favorite funny line from Spock in this movie is when they get back on the ship later on, and he goes, Spock, where's that power you promised me? And he goes, 1 damn minute, Admiral. And then my last one was, this one is interesting because, like, I don't know, I could almost construe it as, like, Nimoy is like kind of taking the piss, or Spock is kind of taking the piss. It's almost hard to tell, but when Kirk is kind of ranting and raving about where's the sorted out dilithium situation, and Scotty gets off the horn and he goes, aye, he's in a wee bit of a snit, isn't he? And Spock's response is, he is a man of deep feelings. And I was like, wait a second, is he just taking the piss there? Maybe a little teeny bit? I don't know. Anyway, it was brilliant. Brilliant Nimoy, brilliant comedy.
Yeah, man, Nuggets test ratings. I think there's a laundry list of nuggets for this
There's so many, dude. I just tried to cherry pick some of the best ones I found.
I'm not gonna
there were some that were super interesting, man. Like, I mean, I was just like reading them like, wow, that's so cool. Like a 10-year-old dork. Go ahead.
Oh, I'll throw a really quick one out, which I don't believe, but this film is the only instance in which Kirk says, Scotty, beam me up, which I don't understand that. But
I don't understand that either, because I read the same thing, and I was like, what?
Maybe it's
really?
the movie versus the show? I don't know. But I was like, that's weird. I wanted to say it out loud and be ridiculed for bringing it up, or being like, wow, yeah, totally. I don't know.
Well, wait, did it, because I read the same nugget, Chad. Did did it say movies?
This is film.
Or-
This film features the only instance. So maybe it's a weird nugget that isn't true because it's saying in the movies. That's, I don't know, versus the show, which it surely would have been said a bunch.
It had to be just referring to the films, because like that phrase is so ubiquitous, man. Like it's so in common parlance. There's no way.
That's kind of what I thought, and that's why I wanted to bring it up. It's just a bit of a weird one. You think it's bullshit?
No idea.
There you go.
Don't know. Don't care. Okay, my first nugget is super interesting. The position that whales maneuver into before they start vocalizing is that nose down, tail up position in the water. And I thought it was cool. They made a point of having the probe do the exact same thing in space.
Right.
When it finally made a connection with the life forms. You know what I mean? They both took that nose down, tail up position, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Whales are so fucking weird.
And cool.
It's super cool. It's super cool.
Yeah, me too. Benny, what do you got? Anything? Are you recusing?
There's not really enough nuggets in the world for 3 people to go around robin doing nuggets without sniping each other. So
Snipe away.
it would
Snipe
be
away.
pointless. No, I don't bother even prepping for nuggets because that's what you guys do.
Right.
Okay. I mean, this movie is an exception. There's a shitload of information out there. I found like it was just too much. It was overwhelming, actually.
I got a nugget for you two gentlemen that I think you'll both appreciate.
Go. I'm sure. Go.
The computer was obviously a Macintosh, but
I noticed.
yeah, but the internals were changed to be an IBM PC because it made it easier to synchronize the video refresh rate to the camera. And the animation was on a PC as well. So I thought you guys would particularly enjoy the fact that the Mac was there in body only and the actual computer was a PC.
It was. I did, and I thought that was a interesting and super nerdy nugget as well.
Well, I just mean it more in the Apple versus PC shit show we had back in the day.
I know, but I was thinking about just like the whole thing with the refresh rate on the screen. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Totally.
Okay, here we go. Okay, so Kirk R. Thatcher was one of the associate producers on this movie, and he actually plays the punk on the bus, which is a pretty iconic scene from this cult movie.
Yeah, totally.
He did not feel that whatever song they had going on was encapsulating the essence of his punk character, so he wrote a song. And that song was the one that you hear playing on the boombox, which is called "I Hate You."
The I Hate You song? That's awesome.
That's
It was a great punk song. It was very punk.
oh, it was awesome, man. So that's how that whole thing came about.
That's cool. I can sidecar that nugget actually. Where last year Kirk Thatcher tweeted a long lost Easter egg that he wrote into this movie that was a Star Wars Easter egg. Did you guys see that?
Shit, dude, this is super deep. Go. I can't wait to hear the rest of this.
So he had Spock in the scene where Spock's testing himself on Vulcan or wherever they are. And one of the questions was like, which philosopher, blah, 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 blah. And the philosopher was T plane Hoth, or if you unscramble it, it's planet Hoth. And he tweeted that out last year as like a subtle Star Wars nugget that he dropped into the movie in 1986. And I love that no one noticed it for like 30 years.
My gosh. Wow. Plain Hoth. Wow. That is crazy. I like it.
It would have been a cool nugget if it was just a Star Wars Easter egg, but the fact that it was also the punk rock dude makes it even better in my mind.
Well, and the fact that it was in a Star Trek movie. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
so
that's not a sidecar, dude. That's like a epic fucking nugget, bro.
There you go, bro.
That stands on its own. That is a nugget right there. Susan Sarandon was the original choice for Dr. Gillian Taylor.
What?
I know. Not imagine her being that person.
She's kind of a bit of an activist, though, so I guess fits in a way. But I like the lady as cast.
I do too. Gillian is great. I mean, Catherine Hicks is great.
In the girl power vein, this is evidently the first time that there is a female captain of a ship, the USS Saratoga, in the opening scene. Kind of cool.
Correct. Very cool. And I will just go ahead and I'm going to expound on that nugget because that was one of my nuggets. So There's a really string of interesting lore here. As I dug deeper, it was like just a sweater that kept unraveling. So the Saratoga captain the actress also appeared in the episode called Interface in 1993 as Captain Sylvia LaForge, the mother of Lieutenant Commander Geordie LaForge.
What relation?
The mother of Geordie LaForge. And it has been speculated and posited that the Saratoga captain from this movie is some unspecified ancestor of LaForge's. I mean, this is so Trek deep nerd right here, okay? And it gets even better because the woman that played the captain of the Saratoga and subsequently Geordie LaForge's mom is none other than Madge Sinclair, who we know best from, and it's one of your favorites, Chad, Akeem's mother from Coming to America.
No fucking way.
Yes.
That's awesome.
I saw it right away. I heard it in her voice and I saw it right away and I immediately looked it up and I was like, booyah, dude. Isn't that a good one?
That's so good.
Yeah, that's up there with like all time.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is how you nug it.
That's how you nug it, baby. Yeah. I have another one that's like similar to that.
Aoleon?
Aoleon? Okay, next. Chad, what do you got next?
My only other nugget, I had a bunch of randoms, but they're not really worth sharing. Check out the trivia section on IMDb. You can read it for a fucking hour. There's like 600 things. I mentioned earlier the Scotty D-Day thing. So James Doohan or whatever, who played Scotty, was in the D-Day invasion, which I didn't know, which you guys probably did.
That is crazy, man.
But there's like a little bit of info on it that's pretty fucking bananas, where he landed on, one of the beaches and survived until that night. And like at 11:30 that night, he got machine gunned and he took 6 bullets. 1 blew off his middle finger, 4 hit him in the leg, and 1 hit him in the chest. And a cigarette case stopped the bullet to the chest, which I just think is
serious?
Fucking bananas. And like,
that is nuts.
Dude, like, more power to that dude. Because like I saw something on like Reddit recently that was he's missing his middle finger, and it was a picture of one of the scenes in one of the movies, and I was like, okay, D-Day thing, yeah, okay. And then looking it up today, I read the actual like details, and it's like fucking, that's pretty hectic, man.
Dude, that is really bananas. That's really scary, man. Jesus, 6 bullets, 4 to the leg.
And then the cigarette case, like he almost certainly would have died. I would imagine.
Yeah.
There's plenty of stories like that. We've seen those in movies too. And I love hearing stories like that. It's like some random piece of memorabilia that you were carrying around, or something as like ordinary as a cigarette case.
Like a Zippo lighter or something.
Life. Yeah, exactly.
It just makes me love Scotty, the character, like the actor that played him, so much more. He's such a like jovial, charming dude. And then to like know that he went through D-Day like that, it's just like, fucking good on you, bro.
That's probably why he was so jovial and
charming.
Probably. He is quoted as saying that his favorite line in all of the years of all of Star Trek is the one at the end when they beam up the whales, and he goes, "Admiral, there be whales here."
I thought it was like a Moby Dick reference or something, but I guess it's just a Scottish dude saying something about whales.
Yeah, it's kind of like a bromage homage, Horsedy over. So less than a line from Moby Dick. That's not a line from Moby Dick. He definitely says there be whales here.
Yeah, I think I'm getting it confused with like the "thar she blows" kind of stuff.
Yeah, right on. No, he does say he goes there be whales here. I can smell them. That's what Ahab says at one point. At least in one of the theater productions of it I've done. Anyway, you know what? I got to throw this in now. I'm going to go ahead and throw this in now. It's a gripe. I had one gripe.
Okay.
And I'm sorry to say it's a fitness gripe. Again, I know. But I got to say, like, the fitness level of the crew, it's not great. And I was a little disappointed by that, especially, I mean, there's X amount I can just let go, right? But when Uhura needs 2 people to help her up the ladder to get out of the Klingon ship at the end, I was just like, you're a Starfleet officer, man. You're supposed to be keeping in shape.
Okay.
That's my gripe.
I like it. What
do you think, Benny?
Maybe she's got a bad hip or something, man. Like, shit.
Maybe she does. Then why is she still serving?
She's like a fucking DJ. She just puts her headphones on and desalinates fucking audio all day. Like,
This is also the future. I mean, McCoy gives that woman in the hospital a pill and she grows a new kidney.
yeah, fair. Okay.
Right?
Yeah. I'm not going to discount your your gripe. Like, it's a valid gripe, but it's a funny one, too.
What do you think, Ben?
Yeah. I don't think they forced people to stay in shape in Hollywood like they do now.
And there you go.
You know, at that point in time. It's like they were already, I mean, they're all in their, like, from their late 40s up to their 60s. So,
True.
you know, it takes some doing to keep a level of fitness at that point. So,
It's true.
You know, if you haven't been doing it all along, if you haven't been keeping yourself in shape for the next Marvel movie like you are nowadays, then, you know, what are you going to do?
You're going to be Thor in Endgame is what you're going to do.
That's it.
Do you, did you say, I'm sorry, before, did you say doing or do-hand?
Oh,
so
man.
Stupid.
Oh, that's death. Oh, man.
Freaking death. You are so dead. By your own hand, too. That was terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of want to give you props for even trying that fucking joke.
Yeah. I know. That was it was a risky maneuver.
You should have known better, but that was a Kobayashi Maru, dude. You were never getting out of that fucking thing.
You're right. That was a Kobayashi Maru death. Oh, I like that. I'm going to jot that down.
I hate to beat a dead horse here, but I feel like, Scotty should be like, computer. Is this thing working?
Arguably one of the best scenes in the movie.
It is the best scene in the movie.
Maybe you should try typing the joke.
Yeah, right.
Fucking perfect.
Dude, that was so good. You just killed me on my joke. On my terrible
that was good
joke.
stuff.
That was so good, man. I'm jotting that down.
Unless you got some mega nugs, we should transition. Do you have any mega nugs?
Hold on. I got a couple.
Okay.
Transition, and then we're going to go home. Okay, this is pretty interesting. Spock's mother, the only appearance we ever see of Spock's mother is in this movie. Her name is Amanda. And in this movie, she was played by Jane Wyatt, which in and of itself is probably pretty unremarkable, certainly to people of our generation. This was the last thing that she did before she passed away. And she is best known for playing the mom on Father Knows Best. And even if you never watched the show or listened to the radio series, it was a huge phenomenon back in the, I think, 50s or the 60s. And it was just interesting that she was chosen to play Spock's mother on Vulcan. And that was the only time we ever see Spock's mom, except, of course, for Winona Ryder in the 2000. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, definitely. She did a good job.
There's a lot of I found a chat going back to your Hoth Star Wars nugget. Like, there's a lot of little nuggets in that learning computer scene. I didn't really jot them all down, but one of them just jumped out at me right now. One of the questions is what were the principal historical events on the planet Earth in the year 1987? That was one of the questions. And the movie takes place in 87. And the answer is not heard, but you can see the two answers written by Spock. Computers cloned from carrots, and New York Times is last magazine to close its doors. And the computer answers correct. Isn't that weird?
Carrots. Yeah, okay. That's fucking ridiculous.
It's so weird. I don't know if it's a total piss take or what. I mean, it could be. I don't ever remember a computer's cloned from carrots story.
Well, considering the Star Wars Easter egg, it's probably just one of those piss takey things.
Totally. Oh, and then my last nugget was Michael Berryman. He played the interesting looking alien that had that weird kind of double headset on in Starfleet HQ.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and he had a sort of a, I don't know, synthesized sort of metallic-y voice. That guy is also, he plays like the number 2 thuggy with, oh my God, this is a death. What is the guy's name from freaking Commando? And we were just talking about him, Mr.
Bennett?
Igo. Yes, Bennett. What's his name? Vernon Wells?
Vernon Wells.
Oh, that is a death, dude. So he plays the number 2 thuggy to Vernon Wells in Weird Science, interestingly enough. And he also became, like, his sort of claim to fame was doing the 1970s Wes Craven movie, The Hills Have Eyes. And interestingly enough, because he's like kind of a interesting looking guy, he has a very rare disease where he has no sweat glands and no hair and no fingernails on his body. And part of his thing is, part of that disease is that he's just kind of got interesting physical features, which he sort of like turned into, you utilize that playing interesting looking characters and scary looking characters in horror movies. So I thought that was pretty cool. And he's been in a lot of stuff. So I don't know. That was it. Michael Berryman is the actor's name.
Cool.
Yeah. Little deep, everybody Kev's little deep nerd there, but whatever. I thought it was worthy inclusion.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, deaths. There's a shitload.
Let's hear 'em.
Oh, God, that fish out of water dad joke I did and straight off the bang was terrible. Then I struggle with the Waylians. Die again.
Aoleon.
Waylon. It's a Waylion named Aoleon. Chad, you had a Star Wars death.
Mm-hmm.
Ben had a Star Wars death talking about his sort of quasi Star Wars hair, which is interesting because it's
Indeed.
real. Chad and I both had a time warp double death, and I don't remember what exact bullet was there.
It was that we both referenced Let's Do the Time Warp again, basically.
Oh, that's right. Let's do the time warp again. Just jot that down so I can say it in the death section. And then we had, I had the Kobayashi Maru Doohan death.
Mm-hmm.
That was a terrible joke. And then Ben killed me when he suggested that I should type the joke because it was...
It's pretty fucking good.
That was pretty damn good. And then I just died on Vernon Wells. So, yeah, there's quite a few. Ratings.
Stallone's 5.6. It's a good movie. I enjoyed it. Everyone should watch it. It's worth rewatching. It's in good company.
Wait, Stallone's 5.6. What does that mean?
Anything in a 5 is now called a Stallone's 5.
Oh, I like it. Okay. 5.6. All right.
It's good. It's Three Amigos, Wayne's World, Airplane, Spies Like Us, Inner Space, Dumb and Dumber. Like, it's in good company.
Like it. Benny?
Cool. Yeah. This is the best movie ever adapted from a Save the Whales bumper sticker.
I agree.
It's definitely better than Free Willy.
It's definitely got the best whale acting, in my opinion. Yeah, it's great. In all seriousness, I would give it... I'm in the pool party with the crew at the end.
Yeah.
When everything clears. And, I'm the one that's left, and I push Kirk into the water, and then I jump in after them.
It's very festive.
Gets a good solid 8 from me.
Nice. Yeah, it's a good flick.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 9. I've already said why I like it. There's so much to like here, and there's really not much to dislike. It's just great. It's funny. It's serious. It's got a great plot for a Star Trek movie. Its cast was at its peak. It's just fantastic. So, yeah, 9.
I think it's worth just chiming in because I was looking at the algorithm while I was rattling off those in good companies, and the 2009 Star Trek remake is a 5.5, so it's 0.1 above that. Do you guys feel like this and or other movies are better than the remakes? Or that first remake, maybe?
You mean the 2009 remake? Do I think these are better than that? They kind of position those movies enough that you don't really have to compare them. I think they're all equally good,
I think
That's maybe a bit of a cop-out, but, it's supposed to be an alternate timeline, which I dig. What are you going to say, Ben?
Yeah, it's apples and oranges, I think. It's, I know it's all Star Trek, but it's... There are a lot of feelings and sentimentalness and nostalgia all tied to Star Trek, so it's hard to
distill.
Yeah, it's hard to put the new ones up against as great as I think they are. It's hard to put them up against the legacy casts because I'm attached to them.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I agree, and so does the algorithm.
Yeah, I think. Well said. A lot of nostalgia there. So that's
the algorithm commands it.
Exactly.
I agree with the nostalgia comment. Like that, there's a lot of weight there. I mean, for the whole series, but for the original cast as well. So it's tough to compare them. I mean, it's such a great remake. 2009 and Into Darkness too. I really like that one too.
I need to revisit that one, but yeah,
I want to watch Star Trek Beyond again. I have all 3 of them, but I need to watch the third one again. I didn't think it was quite as great.
I think you nailed it earlier when you were talking. Well, I think both of you guys nailed it earlier when you were talking about a combination of the romp and then a combination combined with the actors kind of being very developed and at top of their game. There's just definitely some nostalgia there, no doubt.
No doubt. Yeah, it serves them well for sure.
Yeah.
Right on. Sassy Squirrel, what are we doing?
Next week we're talking about Tenet.
That sounds exciting. I'm excited. I know Jarhiko's excited. And I'm sure the folks at home will be excited. So, folks, thank you for tuning into this week's episode. And tune in with us next week for Tenet. And we will see you on another time. So long, folks.
See ya.
Goodbye. And for all my whale friends.
There you go.
There you have it. And that's going to wrap up this week's episode, folks. If you'd like to support us, there's a number of ways you can. You can find the show notes for this episode in your podcast app of choice or at our website, ebd.fm/episodes/96. You can also rate us and review us on iTunes or wherever you get your podcast nuggleberries. And now you can support us on Patreon. That's right, we have a Patreon, and that's patreon.com/EBD podcast. So please support us there if you're feeling generous. As always, follow us on social media. We're on all social media channels using the handle @EBD podcast. We spend a lot of time on Instagram, so jump over and join in on the conversation. Thanks so much for joining us for this second venture into the Star Trek universe. And stay tuned next week for Weird Science. It's sure to be good. Thanks so much, folks. We'll see you next time.
One for C-Lab, two for Torpedo, three for Wolverine to round out the trio. In this episode, everybody dies.
Beady, beady, beady.
Stop into it.